And here we are with something that's right up our alley, what we do, podcast. Joe is with us. Hi, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Enjoying celebration so far?
I am having a blast.
So the first thing I got to ask the day after, did you get to see the trailer yet?
I have seen the trailer, and my goodness, I got goosebumps. I really did. It's sort of I got that nostalgic feeling, for the originals. Really.
Yeah, I've been talking to people around here, and that's what they're saying too. It feels like Star Wars now, especially that last shot with Han and Chewie.
Yeah, and I think that's to be expected. With the prequels, you didn't quite get that, but then again, the prequels were something before, the sequels.
Yeah.
And now that we have the, I don't know what these are going to be called. These are the sequels.
After.
Yeah. But
sequel to the sequel.
The sequel to the sequel, perhaps. It really felt like. When Return of the Jedi came out when I was 10 years old, and I got that feeling that I had back then, for this.
Me too. So let's go to why you're here. So what do you have on your booth here?
Well, we're the Dark Empire. We're a costume club, but we're more than that. We costume for charity. We raise funds for different reputable charities like the Red Cross, Make-A-Wish Foundation, kind of like the other Star Wars costume clubs, the Mandalorian Mercs, 501st Legion, but we're also a fan fiction club. And we have podcasts, just like the 501st Legion has a podcast, like the 501st Cast. We have Dark Empire Radio, which is a podcast about the club and Star Wars fun. But I have HoloNet Audio Dramas, which is our flagship podcast. We're a fan fiction club as much as we are a costuming club. And HoloNet Audio Dramas really it's quality narrated Star Wars short fan fiction, family-friendly fan fiction that's set to Star Wars music and sound effects, and we do that for a charitable cause. We give those, they're on CDs, and we give the CDs out to fans of Star Wars that cannot see or cannot read, and to encourage literacy, or anyone that enjoys audio dramas. And there's 24 stories on our site so far.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. So you said it's fan fiction. How do you go about getting the stories? How do you find? Do they send them to you, or how do you?
Well, about half of them I've written myself. Others I've actually had people write for me. There's a couple on there that I went out and found them and got permission to use. So, but by and large, we write them ourselves.
Yeah, now they're going to see you, and then they say, hey, I've done some. They want to send you some. Do you take submissions?
Yeah, sure. It's got to be within a certain range. I don't like the stories to go more than 20 minutes. I prefer them to be about 5 to 8 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes in length, about 4 to 6 pages. So it's really challenging to write a short story that's really engaging. And we've got some really good ones on there. My favorite is The Grip of the Emperor's Hand. That's a really good story.
What made you want to do audio stories?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. It's it's a long story, but I'll condense it for you. I actually had the idea originally that I do voiceovers semi-professionally, and I'm not non-union, but I've done some radio commercials and I've done some things like that. And I got the idea, hey, I love Star Wars. Why don't I do some storytelling, put it on a CD, and see if people like it, because I love audiobooks, the audio style, and that's really the presentation style of HoloNet Audio Dramas. If you listen to a Star Wars audiobook, it's that kind of a presentation style. And I listening to Star Wars audiobooks, I got the idea, let's do that with short fan fiction, because I hadn't heard of that being done before. Well, the very first time that I did that, I went and bought a CD duplicator machine where I could spit out a number of CDs within a few minutes. And I did a troupe at a library, and the idea is that we could pass these. The library had a Star Wars day, and the idea was that we could pass these CDs out to fans that if they enjoy Star Wars, maybe it'll encourage them to read. And we had these CDs on our table, and this guy was leading a lady up to up to our table. And here in the Dark Empire, we're primarily a Sith club, custom Sith costuming club. So we like to have holocrons like this one here on our table. And it was actually that particular holocron right there. The guy came up to me and said, would you, can I guide her hand over this here? And I could tell right away that she was blind, and he wanted to show her what it was. I said, sure. So he guided her hand over this holocron, and her eyes just lit up. They sparkled, and she said, she got kind of shaky, and she said, is this what I think it is? And I said, yes, that's a Sith holocron. And she said, oh my gosh, I've been dying to see what one of these were like. And so I knew right away she was a Star Wars fan, but she couldn't see a thing. And so I said, well, I have something here you might enjoy.
Yeah, I love how she said, I can see.
Yeah, I wanted to know what these were like. And so I gave them the CD. I told them what it was, and I said it's just a small collection of short stories, set to music and sound effects. So he said, okay, we'll listen to it in our car, and I'm assuming he was the one that was driving. And so anyway, the event ended. I was breaking down our table. He made a point to drive back and tell me, and he was crying. He said that it was his wife, and he has a hard time making her happy just because she can't see, and so it's always a challenge for him to keep her entertained. And that did that. It made her really, really excited. And so from that was 2 years ago, and from that moment onward, we decided to make that a charity project as well as a podcast. And as of this weekend, we'll have distributed almost 1,000 CDs within 2 years.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal story because, again, I hear it a lot, and a lot of the people, the exhibitors here, and just Star Wars fans in general, they are creative in their own right. I mean, like you and I've done radio pretty much my entire adult life. Yeah. And I've done music radio, but then I grew up with this like you. I was 4 years old when the first Star Wars came out.
Same here. We're the same age.
Yeah, and that's why I do a show called the Geek Speak Show, because okay, I talk on the radio, but nobody on the radio is talking about what I love, about Star Wars, about comic books, about any of that stuff. So that's why we do what we do. With you, beautiful story about that. That's why you do what you do now.
Right, exactly. And I think you cherish those memories, and you want it to live on, and you want to help other people at the same time. And what a good, that's really a good feeling, is to help somebody else out with a memory that you enjoy.
Yeah, so for the few who haven't heard about it, where can they find everything?
HoloNetAudiodramas.com is where the site is. And we're on Twitter and Stitcher as well. Not Twitter, excuse me. We're on iTunes and Stitcher as well.
And if they want the CD, where can they get those?
The CDs are absolutely free, and I'll send, as long as I have them available, I will send a free CD out to anybody. Just go to HoloNetAudiodramas.com and click on Get a Free CD.
There you go. That's how you do it. Thanks, Joe.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
All right.